This is not a coincidence. The sound you're hearing right now was never random. Something within you brought you here. A pulse older than your name. Older than this lifetime. Your soul arranged this moment long before you pressed play. For days, maybe weeks, you felt it. That quiet tension between endings and beginnings. That sense that reality is holding its breath, waiting for you to remember something immense. You are standing at the threshold of a shift so vast that language can barely hold it. The signs have been whispering all around you. The sudden synchronicities, the impossible coincidences, the flicker of déjà vu that feels more like prophecy than memory. It's not imagination. It's your higher consciousness calling you to awaken. Right now, your energy is aligning with a frequency that ancient mystics once called the God state, the living current where creation itself thinks, breathes, and moves. In this state, you don't seek divinity. You remember that you are it. The veil between human and divine thins, and you realize that the voice of the universe has always spoken in first person, through you. Two simple words are the doorway, I am. They are not a mantra, not a statement of ego, but the primordial vibration of existence itself. Everything that ever was, every galaxy that spins, every heartbeat, every sunrise, and all of it begins with I am. When you say it, you don't describe yourself. You create yourself. This message has reached you because your vibration finally matched its signal. You are ready to remember, ready to stop searching for light outside and to feel it blaze from within. As you listen, breathe slowly. Each breath is an agreement between your soul and infinity, a promise to return home to the truth you've always known. You are not a small story moving through a big universe. You are the universe moving through a small story. The time for forgetting is over. The calling has begun. If your heart feels that spark, that recognition of something ancient rising, whisper it within, I am ready to remember. Because the moment you do, the universe leans closer and the next chapter begins. Section 2. The two words of creation. Low hum builds, the sound of distant stars awakening. There are only two words that can reshape the universe from within you. Two syllables that the ancients whispered through firelight and silence. Two words that hold the code of creation itself, I am. When you understand these words not as language but as living vibration, they become the bridge between form and formlessness, between you and the infinite. The mystics called this the God frequency, the sound through which consciousness recognizes itself. Scientists now touch the same truth in the language of quantum fields. The idea that awareness, not every age has searched for the key that unlocks the empires were built around it. Prophets hinted at it, mystics lived and died for it. But the truth was never hidden in temples or mountains. It was hidden in two words so simple, so close, that humanity almost forgot them. I am. When you speak these words with awareness, something moves in the unseen world. The air trembles. The atoms of your body listen. Creation itself turns its face toward you. These are not just sounds, they are the living pulse of source consciousness, expressing itself through your voice. Every being who has ever awakened has felt this same vibration. Ancient mystics called it the name beyond names. Moses heard it through the fire that did not burn. I am that I am. Jesus spoke it when he said, before Abraham was, I am. The Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree until that same awareness, silent, unspoken, arose as the very nature of all things. Across cultures, across ages, they all pointed to one truth. Existence itself is speaking in you as I am. When you say I am, do not rush to finish the sentence. Pause. Feel the stillness between I and am. That gap is the doorway. The moment before thought defines you, before identity wraps you in stories. In that pause lives the truth that cannot be taught. You are awareness itself. This understanding is not a belief. It's a recognition. The moment you truly feel I am, without attaching anything after it, not I am this, not I am that, you dissolve the illusion of separation. You stop being the seeker and become what was sought. You remember that the universe is not outside of you, waiting for permission to act. The universe is your consciousness responding in real time to its own realization. So tonight, when the world quiets, whisper it softly into the dark. Say I am and feel how the words ripple through your being, beyond your body, beyond your mind, into the endless field that holds galaxies together. Because in that moment, it is not you speaking those words. It is the universe declaring its own name through you. The moment you truly feel, I am, something begins to shift deep inside you. quietly at first, like the heartbeat of a sleeping universe waking from its dream. This is the awakening frequency, the vibration that bridges the human and the divine. For lifetimes, you've been told to look outward, to seek meaning in systems, approval in faces, purpose in possessions. But all along, the source waited within you, patient, eternal, whispering through intuition, déjà vu, and the electricity in your chest when truth passes near. That tingling you sometimes feel when you hear something profound. That's not coincidence. That's recognition. It's your field resonating with the frequency of what you already are. Energy does not lie. When you align with truth, your vibration rises. When you align with fear, it collapses inward. And so the real awakening is not about learning something new. It's about remembering what you never lost. The I am frequency has been with you since the beginning, woven into your DNA, coded in your breath. Every inhale is the universe entering form. Every exhale is form returning to the universe. Close your eyes. Feel the quiet between your thoughts. That stillness, that space between one breath and the next, is where eternity hides. When you listen from that space, you'll notice how thoughts, emotions, and memories rise and fall like waves. But you, the awareness behind them, remain untouched, infinite, radiant. That awareness is the true I am. This is the frequency of creation. Not a sound you hear, but a knowing you become. When you hold it, even for a moment, the field around you starts to change. People, opportunities, and possibilities begin to move as if magnetized toward your energy. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you align. That's why ancient sages said, "Be still and know that I am God." They weren't pointing to a deity in the clouds. They were pointing within. They knew that once you stabilize in this vibration, life stops being random. Every event becomes orchestral. Every experience, a mirror reflecting your own consciousness back to you. You start to see that there was never chaos, only perfect synchronization. Every heartbreak, every delay, every storm, it all part of the tuning process. The universe wasn't punishing you. It was aligning you with its own rhythm. And now, you're hearing it. The frequency that has been calling your name across dimensions.
It doesn't speak in words, it feels.
It expands. You are remembering what the cosmos sounds like when it breathes through you. You are the note in the symphony that was missing until now. Before you awakened, before the call found you, something sacred happened. You agreed to forget. You, the infinite consciousness, chose to descend into form, to wear the costume of a human life, and to play this fragile, miraculous game of remembering. The moment your soul entered this dimension, a veil was drawn, not as punishment, but as protection. For how could you explore light without once walking through shadow? How could you discover love without first forgetting it existed? The forgetting is not failure. It's the design. The veil allows experience, and experience gives birth to wisdom. You forgot your power so that finding it again would ignite galaxies within you. You forgot eternity, so that time could teach you how precious each breath is. You forgot unity so that you could feel the sweetness of reunion. Every heartbreak, every loss, every night you thought you were alone. It was all part of the sacred amnesia. Like the chrysalis that hides the butterfly, the forgetting cocooned your light until you were ready to remember without being blinded by your own brilliance. But now the veil is thinning. The density of sleep that once clouded your vision is dissolving. You've begun to sense it in strange ways. In the sudden silence before an important event. In the eyes of someone who feels familiar though you've never met. In the dreams that feel more real than waking life. That's your soul pushing through the veil, whispering, "Wake up." You've always been more than this name, this face, this story. You are the dreamer, not the dream. You are the actor and the author of the script you've been performing. The struggles were not random scenes. They were cues written by your higher self to guide your evolution. Every pain had purpose. Every delay carried direction. And now the veil begins to shimmer. You can feel both worlds overlapping, the physical and the divine, the limited and the infinite. You start to see patterns in the chaos, synchronicities where you once saw accidents. You realize that even your thoughts are not private echoes. They are conversations between dimensions. The forgetting is ending, and as it lifts, the first light of remembrance pours through, not blinding, but gentle like sunrise after endless night. You begin to whisper again the ancient words, "I am." This time they don't just echo in your mind. They vibrate through your cells, rewriting your reality from the inside out. Because the truth is, you never really forgot. You only dreamed that you did, and now the dream is beginning to fade. The awakening has begun. Every reality is a mirror. Every experience you've ever had, every person you've ever met, every joy and wound that has passed through you, all of it was your own consciousness, reflecting itself back for you to see. At first, this truth feels impossible. You think, how could I have chosen pain? How could I have called in the moments that broke me? But the universe doesn't operate through punishment. It teaches through reflection. Reality is not something happening to you. It's something responding to you. Every situation is the echo of an energy you once projected. Every encounter is the answer to an unspoken vibration you sent into the field. The world is not separate from you. It's your mirror painted in light and motion. When you were unaware of this, you fought your own reflection, blaming, resisting, judging what you saw in the mirror. But the more you fought, the more distorted the image became. Because energy does not yield to denial. It repeats until it is recognized. The pattern continues until awareness is born. And then, one day, when the realization dawns, nothing outside of me can complete me. Nothing external can define me. You begin to take responsibility not in guilt but in power. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this showing me about myself? That single shift changes everything. Suddenly, the people who triggered you become teachers. The failures become instructions. The darkness becomes contrast, helping you see the light you once ignored. This is the alchemy of awakening, turning reflection into revelation. When you understand the mirror, you stop trying to fix the image and start adjusting the light within. You realize that life isn't testing you, though it's tuning you. Each event polishes your awareness until your reflection becomes pure, unclouded, divine. Even your body, the most intimate mirror of all, responds to your inner dialogue. Thoughts of fear tighten it. Thoughts of love heal it. You are not trapped within your form. Your form is responding to your state of being. As your frequency rises, the mirror becomes clear. People around you shift not because they changed, but because your perception did. Situations unfold in harmony where there was once chaos. Time feels slower, lighter, almost fluid. You realize that manifestation is not about forcing change. It's about seeing correctly. When you see from truth, the illusion rearranges itself. Look around you now. Everything you perceive is your consciousness expressing itself in color, sound, and shape. Every breath you take sends ripples into the infinite. You are not inside reality. Reality is inside you. So bless what appears before you. Love what the mirror shows even when it challenges you. For when you love the reflection, the image transforms. In a world addicted to noise, stillness is the most radical act. Do more, prove more. But the divine does not speak in noise. The voice of creation whispers only in stillness. And those who have the courage to be silent long enough to hear it. Remember who they are. The ancients knew this secret. They withdrew to caves, deserts, mountains, not to escape the world but to hear it, to tune themselves back to the frequency that modern life has forgotten. For in the space between two breaths, in the pause between thoughts, lives the entire cosmos. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of awareness. It's the point where time dissolves, and you realize that the one observing and the one being observed are the same. The watcher and the watched merge, and what remains is pure consciousness, infinite, radiant, eternal. When you enter this stillness, even for a few moments, reality bends, problems lose their edges, worries fade into vapor. The future stops chasing you and the past stops haunting you. You become timeless and a being not of hours and minutes, but of pure presence. And in that presence, you begin to feel something extraordinary. A quiet power that doesn't shout, doesn't compete, doesn't need to be seen. It just is. The power that holds galaxies together, that heals without words, that guides without sound. The power of I am. When you sit in stillness, the universe rearranges itself around your calm. You no longer move from fear, you move from alignment. You no longer react, you respond. And in that subtle difference, lifetimes of karma dissolve. This is why enlightenment was never about reaching the stars. It was about realizing you already are one. Stillness is the telescope through which the soul remembers its own infinity. Close your eyes. Listen to the silence behind the sound. Notice the gentle rhythm of your breath, the sacred in and out of existence itself. You are not trying to achieve peace. You are returning to it. You are not chasing light. You are becoming transparent enough for it to shine through. The mind will resist this at first. It will whisper, do something, fix something, move. But that is the illusion trembling as it dies. Let it. For only when the waves settle does the ocean remember it is one, and so remain still, not as an act of retreat but as a declaration of mastery. Stillness is the throne of creation. From here everything moves and nothing moves you. When you can sit in the center of chaos and still feel peace, when your inner silence grows louder than the world's noise, then you have touched the true power that shapes realities. That is the power of stillness. That is the heart of God within you. Everything in creation echoes the infinite. From the spiral of a galaxy to the curve of a seashell, from the rhythm of your heartbeat to the orbit of stars, all are expressions of the same pulse, the same consciousness exploring itself through infinite reflections of form. And yet we forget. We move through our days thinking we are separate, a single drop adrift from the ocean. But when you look closely, you realize the drop is the ocean, just briefly experiencing what it feels like to be small. This echo, this eternal return, and is everywhere. You see it when a thought becomes reality. You feel it when music brings tears you cannot explain. You sense it when coincidence feels too perfect to be chance. That is the infinite calling you back, through memory, emotion, synchronicity. Every time you pause and feel awe, you are touching the edges of that vastness. The infinite speaks through repetition. It shows you lessons again and again, in new faces, new timelines, new dreams, until you recognize that all of them are one teacher wearing different masks. What you resist repeats, what you embrace transforms, and once you begin to see the pattern, something miraculous happens. The world softens. You stop fighting reality and you start dancing with it. You realize that every event, no matter how painful, was never punishment, it was rhythm. The rhythm of your soul evolving toward remembrance. You are not a wave crashing against the shore of life. You are the ocean remembering its own movement. And each sound, each emotion, each moment of silence is your echo returning home. When you sit quietly, you may begin to hear it. It sounds like the hum beneath existence, a vibration so constant it hides beneath the noise of the world. Listen closer. It's there between your thoughts, behind your heartbeat. The echo that says, I am here. I never left. The infinite does not exist out there. It exists through you. You are the instrument through which it experiences sound, touch, color, and love. Every word you speak ripples across galaxies. Every act of kindness shifts the field of creation itself. Because in truth, there is no boundary between you and the infinite. You are the reflection and the echo, the question and the answer, the silence and the sound that fills it. When you realize this, gratitude becomes your natural state. Not gratitude for what you have, but for being itself. For the simple miracle that the universe decided to become you, just to hear its own echo one more time. And if you listen deeply, I really listen, you'll realize that everything you've ever longed for is already answering you. Because the infinite has always been speaking your name. And now finally you are quiet enough to hear it. Every soul reaches a moment when the old life no longer fits. The same thoughts, the same routines, the same versions of you begin to feel too small. It's not failure, it's expansion. The vibration of your being is rising, and the patterns built from the past cannot hold the new frequency of your becoming. You are standing at the threshold of transformation. At first it feels like loss. People drift away, desires fade. Even your passions seem to dissolve into silence. But this emptiness is sacred. It is the space between what you were and what you are about to become. Like a seed cracking open underground. Your shell is breaking, and not because you're dying, but because you're growing. Transformation is not gentle. It is fire. It burns away illusion. It melts the masks you've worn and exposes the truth beneath. And though the mind resists, the soul rejoices, and because finally the truth is free. You begin to see that your struggles were never punishment. They were initiation. Each heartbreak was a door disguised as pain. Each ending was a birth in secret. The universe does not destroy. It reshapes. And right now it is reshaping you. When everything familiar begins to fall apart, it means the higher self has taken the lead. You are no longer being guided by fear or logic, but by vibration, the silent knowing that doesn't explain itself, yet never lies. You may feel the pull between two worlds, the old one built on survival, the new one born from purpose. It's like standing in a doorway, one foot in shadow, one in light. You sense the call to leap, but the mind clings to what was. That hesitation is natural. Transformation always demands surrender. You cannot carry the old you into the new timeline. You must release what no longer resonates, not because it was wrong, but because it has served its purpose. The cocoon cannot follow the butterfly into the sky. Take a breath. Let go of the identity that was built from fear. Let go of the stories that told you who you were allowed to be. Because what is coming is not another version of you. It's the real you. The one that has been waiting beneath layers of memory and doubt. The threshold is not a place, and it's a vibration. When you surrender, when you stop resisting the unknown, and trust that the universe is rewriting your path, from a higher intelligence you cross it. And as you do, a new rhythm takes over. One where synchronicities replace struggle, and peace becomes your default frequency. This is the moment between lightning and thunder. The silent breath before rebirth. Stand here unafraid, because everything that is leaving is making room for everything that your soul has always known was meant to arrive. You are not losing yourself. You are finally becoming who you were before the world told you to forget. Welcome to the threshold. Step through. Everything in the universe moves by one law: resonance. Not attraction, not coincidence, not luck. Resonance. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your frequency, the vibration of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, creates the magnetic field that draws experiences to you. The outer world is simply the inner world made visible. For centuries, mystics knew this truth and spoke of it in whispers, as within, so without. As above, so below. They weren't speaking in metaphor, they were describing physics, long before science could measure it. Every thought sends out a wave. Every feeling shapes matter. The quantum field listens to the vibration of your state, not the words of your mouth. When you live in fear, you tune to the frequency of fear, and then your reality mirrors it. When you live in gratitude, your energy expands, and life reflects it in unexpected blessings. The universe is not judging your choices. It is amplifying your signal. Imagine a guitar string vibrating in an empty room. When another string of the same tone is nearby, it begins to vibrate too. This is resonance, energy-seeking harmony. Your consciousness works the same way. When you hold a vibration of peace, every element in your reality begins to align with peace. When you hold chaos, the field around you answers in kind. That's why healing begins with awareness, not effort. You don't force the mirror to change. You change the light within it. You don't chase new circumstances. You shift the energy that created the old ones. Your emotions are the language of the field. Joy tells the universe more of this. Fear says, I don't trust what's next, but neutrality and a stillness opens a space where divine intelligence can flow freely. The more aligned your inner world becomes, the more effortless your outer world appears. Synchronicities multiply. Doors open where walls once stood. The impossible becomes normal. This is not magic, it's physics at a higher octave. Energy organizes around coherence. Chaos dissolves when met with presence. And presence is nothing but awareness vibrating without resistance. So pause. What are you resonating right now? What frequency are you sending into the fabric of creation? If your life feels heavy, it is not a curse, and it's a mirror showing you where your vibration is asking for light. If your reality feels stuck, it's simply waiting for you to remember your own tone. You are the tuning fork of your universe. When you embody love, love answers. When you embody peace, peace arrives. When you embody the words I am fully, without fear or doubt, existence itself harmonizes to your rhythm. That is the law of resonance. It doesn't listen to your hopes, and it listens to your being. And when your being remembers its divine frequency, reality has no choice but to sing it back. You have been taught to believe in time, that past becomes present and present becomes future. But awakening reveals something astonishing. The line was never real. Time does not move, you do. In the higher state of consciousness, the illusion of linear time begins to dissolve. You start to sense that all moments exist simultaneously, layers of reality, stacked like reflections in a mirror. The past, the present, and the future are not separate rooms, but frequencies of the same infinite field. When your awareness shifts, your position within those frequencies shifts too. That's why déjà vu feels so strange. It's not memory, it's resonance. Your soul recognizing a moment it already lived in another octave of time. Every timeline you could ever experience already exists, like notes waiting to be played. And your vibration, your I am state, decides which melody you hear. When you rise into alignment, your energy harmonizes with higher timelines, ones filled with grace, peace, and synchronicity. That is why miracles happen out of nowhere. It isn't random luck. It's resonance collapsing. Timelines until the one that matches your new frequency becomes visible. The ego lives in time. It survives by dwelling on the past and fearing the future. But your soul lives only in the now, the eternal still point where all possibilities meet. When you fully anchor into the present, time bends around you. The weight of regret fades because the past no longer controls you. Anxiety dissolves because the future is already unfolding perfectly. Stillness slows time. Gratitude expands it. Presence erases it. And in that timeless awareness, creation becomes effortless. You realize you don't need to manifest what is already yours in another layer of reality. You simply align with it. By becoming the vibration of the version of you who already has it, you merge with that timeline. The old one fades like a dream you've outgrown. This is the mystery behind phrases like quantum jump, divine timing, or miracle. They all describe the same truth. When consciousness evolves, time rearranges itself. What took years can happen in days. What once felt impossible appears overnight. Because the universe does not run on clocks, it runs on coherence. So stop counting minutes. Stop chasing outcomes. Breathe into the eternal now. When you do, you'll feel time begin to soften, like waves receding into still water. You'll realize that your future self is not waiting ahead of you. It's right here, whispering guidance into your present. The collapse of time is not the end of history. It is the beginning of mastery. Because when time bows before your awareness, you finally see the truth that saints and sages have always known. You are not in time. Time is in you. And when the I Am awakens fully within, eternity becomes your natural state. There is a force that moves through everything, and from the birth of a star to the beating of your heart. The mystics called it prana chi, spiritus life force. It is the invisible current that animates form, the energy of creation itself. And it is not outside you. It is you. Every breath you take is the universe inhaling itself through you. Every thought, every feeling, every movement of awareness shapes that current into form. This is the true art of creation, not the act of forcing reality, but the dance of directing energy through consciousness. When you say I am, you activate this current. It begins to respond instantly to your identity, to what you believe yourself to be. If you declare I am broken, that current bends to support that story. If you declare I am divine, it reorganizes the field to reflect that truth. You are not a drop separate from the ocean. You are the ocean remembering itself as a drop. The same energy that spins galaxies flows through your veins. You are the consciousness that decided to experience creation from within creation, to look upon infinity through human eyes. But most forget. They fall asleep inside the dream, mistaking form for identity, mistaking thought for truth. When you forget your divinity, the current becomes distorted. Energy begins to stagnate. You feel disconnected, anxious, lost, not because life is cruel, but because your flow is blocked by resistance, fear, and self-doubt. The moment you return to presence, that current rushes back. You feel it as warmth in the chest, a tingling in the hands, a sudden clarity in the mind. That is life remembering itself through you. When you move in alignment with love, creation becomes effortless. Inspiration flows. Synchronicities multiply. You stop chasing and start receiving. Creation is not about doing more. It's about being more awake. The most powerful beings in history didn't force their will upon the world. They became still enough for the infinite to move through them. Their words, art, inventions, and revolutions were simply expressions of the same divine current you carry right now. And this current doesn't discriminate. It doesn't reward the worthy or punish the lost. It simply amplifies your state. So the question is not, what should I do? The question is, what am I resonating? Because when your frequency aligns with joy, life rushes to support it. When you align with gratitude, creation bows in response. When you live as I am, unbound, infinite, aware, you don't chase outcomes. You become them. That is the secret of effortless creation. It is not about commanding the universe. It is about remembering that you are the universe, dreaming itself into being. The energy of creation has never left you. It is pulsing in every atom of your being, waiting for you to stop doubting and start being. The mind seeks to understand, but the heart remembers. It remembers what the mind forgot, that love is not an emotion. It is existence itself. It is the frequency that everything, everywhere is made of. The entire cosmos hums with it. Every cell in your body is tuned to it. Every star burns because of it. When the heart begins to awaken, the illusion of separation begins to crumble. You start to feel everything, and not as others, but as extensions of the same infinite self. You feel the sorrow of the world, but also its beauty. You feel the ache of those lost in darkness, yet you sense the light inside them. You begin to live from compassion instead of control, from surrender instead of fear. This is not weakness. It is power beyond measure. The awakened heart doesn't fight to be seen, it simply radiates. It doesn't chase love, and it becomes it. And in that becoming, it transforms everything it touches. There is a moment in every soul's journey where knowledge must yield to feeling, where you realize that understanding the divine is not the same as embodying it. The mind can memorize truth, but only the heart can be it. The divine lives in your chest, not as poetry, but as electricity. That warmth you feel when you forgive someone. That expansion when you're grateful. That peace when you stop resisting, that's not emotion. That's God moving through you. When you start to live from that energy, miracles are no longer surprising. You don't manifest love. You radiate it. You don't ask for healing. Your presence becomes medicine. You don't try to change people. Your vibration invites them to remember who they are. This is the silent revolution, the one no one sees but everyone feels. A single open heart transforms timelines. One moment of true forgiveness can dissolve lifetimes of karma. One genuine act of compassion can shift the collective frequency of humanity. That is the magnitude of the energy inside you. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are a cosmic current shaped like a human, a star disguised as a heartbeat. But to live from the awakened heart is to surrender the illusion of control. It means trusting that love knows better than logic. It means letting go of the need to fix, to prove, to force, and instead allowing the divine to flow through you effortlessly. You'll cry more deeply but laugh more freely. You'll lose things that never truly belonged to you, and gain peace that cannot be taken away. You'll stop searching for God, because you'll feel God pulsing inside your ribs. The awakening of the heart is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your true one, because when the heart opens fully, you realize you were never trying to reach heaven. You were always carrying it inside you, and now it's finally remembering how to shine. After the awakening of the heart comes the descent into silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of everything. It is the moment when thought begins to fade, when the noise of the world can no longer reach you. You don't lose awareness, you become awareness itself. You are no longer the listener. You are the silence that listens. For lifetimes, the human mind has been terrified of stillness. It confuses it with absence. It believes silence means nothing is happening. But in truth, silence is where everything happens. It is the birthplace of creation, the sacred void from which all sound, form, and thought emerge. In that stillness, you begin to feel your soul, not as an idea, but as a presence, vast, ancient, eternal. It doesn't speak in words. It communicates in knowing. A gentle pulse, a quiet warmth, a whisper that says, "Be still. I'm here." This is where the journey inward leads, to the dimension beyond doing. You no longer chase purpose. You embody peace. You stop trying to find meaning because meaning itself dissolves into awareness. And it's in this silence that the truth reveals itself. You were never trying to reach something outside you. You were simply learning to hear what was always within you. Every mystical experience, every sacred vision, every divine encounter described by saints and sages throughout time, it all begins here, in this space between breaths. This stillness is not passive. It is pregnant with energy. It holds the blueprint of galaxies, the pattern of stars, the rhythm of your heartbeat. When you enter it fully, you realize that silence is not the opposite of sound. It is the mother of it. Silence births the universe again and again through your awareness. But the ego fears this silence because it cannot survive here. It thrives on distraction, identity, story. So when you begin to dissolve into stillness, the ego whispers, "You're losing yourself." What it doesn't know is, you're finally finding yourself. The more you rest in this silence, the more you feel its intelligence. You'll notice life becoming clearer, lighter, almost choreographed. Decisions unfold naturally. People arrive at divine timing. Words flow when needed, and disappear when they're not. You realize that silence is not nothing. Silence is God thinking. In this depth, even your breath becomes sacred. Inhale. Existence enters you. Exhale. You return it. You and the universe breathing each other into being. When you live from this space, you no longer need constant confirmation. You don't chase signs. You are the sign. You don't seek the divine. You radiate it through stillness. This is the quiet revolution of the awakened soul. Not louder but deeper. Not brighter but purer. Not more but enough. Because in the silence of the soul, you finally remember the truth that words can never contain. You are not a seeker of God. You are what God becomes. When silence takes form, there comes a moment, quiet, sacred beyond words, when the veil finally dissolves. You look around and for the first time you see that nothing was ever separate. You see that every face you've ever met was another mask of your own soul. You see that the tree, the wind, the sound of your breath, and the stars themselves are all different expressions of the same eternal consciousness. This is the return to oneness, the end of the illusion that divided you from everything else. It doesn't happen as an explosion. It happens as a soft remembering, like waking from a dream. You didn't know you were dreaming. And in that instant, every struggle, every wound, every fear loses its grip, because you realize it was all part of one divine choreography. The people who hurt you were not your enemies. They were fragments of your own evolution, mirrors guiding you back to wholeness. The failures weren't punishments, they were redirections, sacred nudges leading you to the path you were always meant to walk. Even your pain was a teacher wearing a disguise. When the mind stops dividing life into good and bad, right and wrong, you enter a state beyond duality, the God state the ancients spoke of. Here you no longer interpret reality, you merge with it. You feel the pulse of the universe inside your veins. You recognize the same light in a stranger's eyes that burns behind your own. You stop trying to become something, because you realize you already are everything. Oneness doesn't erase individuality. It illuminates it. Just as every wave is unique yet inseparable from the ocean, your individuality is how the infinite experiences itself through you. To awaken to oneness is not to lose yourself. It is to finally understand yourself as the whole playing one of its infinite roles. You begin to move differently. You speak with gentleness because you know the one you speak to is yourself. You forgive easily because there's no one left to blame. You give without fear of loss because how can you lose what is already you? In oneness, life becomes symphonic. Every encounter feels divinely timed. Every challenge feels meaningful. Every breath feels like prayer. You start to live as the universe dreaming itself awake. Not chasing purpose, but being purpose. Not seeking God, but expressing God. And then you realize this was never a journey to reach something new. It was a journey to return to what you never stopped being. The I am you whispered in the beginning now expands into infinity, no longer the voice of a person, but of existence itself. I am the wind. I am the ocean. I am the fire. I am the silence between stars. The return to oneness is the final awakening. It is where you understand that the divine you sought outside was never far away. Because you were the divine, pretending to be human, just long enough to remember what love truly is. And now the remembering is complete. You are home. Every moment of your life is a reflection. Reality is not a solid thing, but it is a mirror, endlessly responding to the vibration of your consciousness. It doesn't judge. It doesn't decide. It simply reflects. Whatever you truly believe about yourself, the world shows you. Whatever you feel in your depths, life mirrors back to you in form, face, and circumstance. If you think you are unloved, reality will echo that belief through rejection. If you think you are blessed, reality will rush to prove you right. Because the universe is not testing you, it is showing you. The external is the internal wearing a disguise. That argument, that delay, that coincidence, why, they are not random. They are messages from the field, whispers from your higher self, guiding you back into alignment. You can see it in the smallest details. A stranger's word that mirrors your private thought. A song lyric that answers your silent prayer. A repeating number that seems to appear everywhere you look. This is not superstition. It is communication. The universe is not outside you, it's your own. Consciousness projected outward, so you can see yourself clearly. When you change internally, the reflection must change. But most people make the same mistake. They try to fix the mirror instead of shifting what it reflects. They chase validation, rearrange circumstances, beg the world to look different, while holding the same vibration that created it in the first place. You cannot polish the mirror into showing a new face. You must become the new face first. The secret is radical ownership. Not blame, not guilt, but divine responsibility. To understand that everything that enters your field, pleasant or painful, is an opportunity to see what frequency you are holding. If someone triggers you, the mirror is showing you an unhealed wound. If someone inspires you, the mirror is revealing your hidden potential. In both cases, the message is the same. This too is you. When you begin to see life this way, the drama loses its grip. You stop taking things personally because you recognize there are no others here. Every soul is playing its part in your awakening. Every event, every emotion, every silence is divine choreography. And the moment you thank the mirror, even for the reflections you dislike, alchemy begins. Gratitude changes the image. Resistance hardens it. Gratitude softens it until light passes through again. So the next time something challenges you, pause before reacting. Ask, what is this showing me about my vibration? What belief is being reflected here? Then breathe. Shift inward. Forgive yourself. Because the instant you align with love, the mirror clears. Reality recalibrates to your new state. That is how masters walk through chaos untouched. And when you finally look into that mirror and see not fear, not separation, but the infinite shining back, you realize you were never the reflection at all. At the end of all seeking, when every question fades into stillness, one realization remains, radiant, absolute, undeniable. You were never becoming divine. You were simply remembering that you already are. All along, the path was circular. The destination was the same place you began, only now you see it with open eyes. The journey was never about reaching enlightenment. It was about stripping away everything that made you forget it. The illusions fall away one by one. Fear, doubt, guilt, identity, until all that's left is awareness itself, shining through the form it chose to wear. You. You are not the character you played, nor the stories you told. You are the witness behind them. The silent consciousness that watched lifetimes rise and fade like waves on an eternal sea. And now that witness steps forward, not as an observer, but as creator. You speak the ancient words again, I am. But this time you feel them echo through galaxies. Every atom answers. Every star bows. Because now the I is not personal, it is cosmic. It is the voice of existence awakening to itself. You understand that creation never ended. It continues moment by moment through your awareness. Every thought becomes vibration. Every vibration becomes form. Every form becomes the next verse of the divine song. This is the God state, not a place but a frequency, not something you ascend into, but something you remember you never left. The mystics called it union. The sages called it liberation. You now call it home. From here, love flows without effort. Forgiveness happens before the wound can form. Miracles unfold before desire can be spoken, because you have become one with the source that births them. The universe no longer feels outside you, and it breathes with you. You inhale stars and exhale creation. You walk through the world as peace in motion. You touch others not to change them, but to awaken what was always within them. And in that quiet, golden knowing, everything makes sense. The struggles were lessons. The losses were initiations. The pain was purification. Every moment was guiding you to this realization that there was never anything to fix, never anything missing, never anything broken. The light you were chasing was shining from your own heart all along. Now you move through life not as seeker, but as embodiment. Not as student, but as source. Not as fragment, but as wholeness itself. And as you look back at the path behind you, you smile. Because you see the perfection in every shadow. The divine timing in every delay. The hidden grace in every fall. It was all orchestrated, not by fate, but by you. By the infinite consciousness that dreamed itself into human form, just to experience the ecstasy of remembering its own name again. And now in this final breath, that name resounds through eternity. I am that I am.